If you're in your 40s or 50s, or maybe you're coming out of a long relationship and you've been out of the game for a while, a lot of guys, when they're older, they lose their confidence a bit, or they feel rusty, or they're just not sure how the game is played nowadays, and it can be really intimidating. And because of this, older guys tend to make a few mistakes that hurt their chances with the women they want. But these mistakes are easy to fix. But more importantly, older guys have a lot of power in the dating scene that they're not taking advantage of. So in this video, I want to discuss 5 key pieces of advice of dating when you're over 40 or 50, especially if the women that you tend to be attracted to are younger than you. Hi, I'm Bobby Rio, and for the past few years, more and more of my clients are guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And it really is rewarding to work with these guys because very often when they come to me, they're nervous, right? They're insecure about their situation. A lot of times they fear that they might not meet the type of woman that they want. And often they come to me because maybe they had a younger woman interested in them and things seemed to be moving forward and going well, but then it all just fell apart and they didn't know why. And then I show them just a few things that completely transform their game. And now these guys very often have multiple women chasing them, younger women, attractive women, and it's all because of 5 things. And that's what I want to share with you right now. So here are the 5 big lessons that I teach my older clients. Okay, so the first bit of advice is a mindset. And while this mindset is important for all guys, it's critically important for guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. The mindset is, I am the prize. Now, I often say that when 2 people get together, one person tries harder, and the person who tries harder holds less power and is seen as less attractive. It's just the way it is. Well, what happens to a lot of older guys, whether it's because they just feel, sort of lost in the dating scene, or maybe it's because they've been rejected by a wife or a long-term girlfriend and their self-esteem is low, is that they come into the dating scene now and they're carrying that baggage of, why would a woman want me? Why would she choose me when there's these other guys that are younger, these other guys that maybe, have more money than me? And that whole entire attitude comes across. And the minute a woman picks up on that, it's like she goes from seeing you as this attractive older guy, because the reality is women have been conditioned to see older men as attractive. If you look at who stars in the majority of the movies, if you see who's on, People Magazine's Sexiest Men Alive, it's generally older guys, right? They're the stereotypical, like, attractive man is an older man. So women give older guys the benefit of the doubt, right? They're very quick to be attracted to them, but they're just as quick to lose that attraction if they sense that you don't hold those qualities, right? What are the qualities of an attractive older man? Mature, confident, powerful, right? Experienced. And women, those are attractive qualities in an older guy that women are sort of conditioned to chase after. But if you go into it and you ignore all that, and you put her up on the pedestal and you treat her like she's the prize, then everything that you had going for you disappears. You have to take the reality of, I am the prize, because what happens is there's always 2 realities that come together, and the stronger reality wins. Meaning, if you go into an interaction, even if the woman initially was like, this guy's a little old for me or whatever, but you come in and you're acting like you're the prize, like she's lucky to be with you, that reality, if it's strong enough, it changes her perception. We've seen it all the time. You can watch a guy who changes how a girl feels about him solely based on how he's projecting himself. So it's really important that you take on that attitude of, I am the prize, because again, you're tapping into something that already exists. If you think about women who had crushes on their college professor, right? The older college professor, because he's mature, he's worldly, he's experienced. Even women when they were young, they had crushes on their older brother's friends because of that, right? He's older, he's more experienced, he's more mature. So if you go into it going, I have these attractive qualities which make me the prize in this situation, then she buys into that. But if you go into it with the attitude of like, well, I'm damaged goods, I'm old, I'm like out of shape, like, and you project that, well, then that's the reality that takes over. So you really got to be conscious of, I am the prize, and you also have to be conscious of what are the attractive qualities of an older man. I named a few of them. I have other videos that I talk a little bit more about them, but being mature, getting things done, right? Being experienced, a woman who feels like, oh, I can let my guard down because he knows what's up, right? He's gonna like take over, he's gonna take charge. That's an attractive quality. That's what you have to be displaying. The second big tip that I give my older clients is avoid nice guy mistakes. Avoid nice guy. And I see this constantly with guys, especially guys that have come out of a long-term relationship. You know, a guy who just got divorced, he's in his 50s, his wife divorced him, and he's now in the dating scene. He meets a woman, usually a woman a little bit younger than him, and then he goes into total nice guy mode. Buying her the flowers, the gifts, showering her with compliments. And the reason that a lot of guys tend to do this is because when you've been in a long-term relationship, one of the complaints that we often get from our partner, from our wife, from our girlfriend is, you never tell me how you feel, you never buy me flowers, you never do this, you never do that. So what happens is the guy gets broken up with, he goes into the dating scene and he thinks to himself, man, I'm not gonna make those mistakes, and he goes overboard with the new woman, and he does it too soon. Because it's perfectly like acceptable to buy your wife flowers and to tell her you love her and all that sort of stuff. But when you're meeting a girl and 2 weeks into the relationship, you're telling her how much you feel about her and you're giving her gifts and flowers, it's too much for her. And again, it devalues you. Because instead of seeing you as the prize, now she realizes, oh, whoa, I'm the prize here. And something about you becomes a little less attractive. There's other nice guy mistakes that I see my clients make all the time, which gets them winding up in the friend zone. One of them is not making a move. I see this all the time where a guy has a woman, usually a younger woman, that he's attracted to. They have this vibe, they have this flirtatiousness, they hang out, and a day goes by, a night goes by of hanging out with her, he doesn't make a move. Another night, doesn't make a move. 4 weeks later, he still hasn't even tried to kiss her. Then I start working with him, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, at first I was just trying to be a gentleman, and then we kind of got in this friendly vibe, and it was hard to then transition. The reality is that making a move shows that experience. It shows that confidence, that maturity. So if you're attracted to a woman and the vibe is there, don't take the attitude of like, I'm gonna wait 2 weeks. Maybe that's, part of it I think is fear of being rejected. There's also a part of it that might be a little outdated in the sense of like, well, 20 years ago when I met my wife, I went on 15 dates with her before we kissed. But nowadays that mentality is not quite there. And women nowadays are meeting so many guys on dating apps and all these things that if you're hanging out with her 3 or 4 times and you're not expressing any, sexual interest in her, you're not trying to kiss her, you are going to get pigeonholed into the friend zone. I see it all happen to guys all the time. So mistakes like that, right? Not making your move, going overboard with flowers, compliments. You want to be aware of that. I have clients all the time that I talk to, and they tell me the stuff that they do. These are older guys where they're like, yeah, I sent her, like on our second date, I sent her the $400, bouquet of roses. And I'm like, it's your second date and you're already giving her your best hand? Like, save that. I'm not saying never do that, but save it for when she feels like she's earned it, right? Save it for after an amazing, time 2 months from now. You don't do that in the initial meetup because you're giving away all of your best cards way too early, and now she's got nothing to look forward to in the future. The next piece of advice that I always give my older clients is get on dating apps, okay? This is sort of some guys are like, of course, I know that, and some guys are like, I don't want to be on dating apps. I'm going to tell you 100%, the older clients of mine who have the most abundant dating life, the guys that are dating multiple women, they have their choice, they're all on dating apps. Now, this does not mean it's the only place you can meet women, but you have to be on there for a variety of reasons. But one of the biggest reasons you want to be on dating apps is this, the abundant mindset. So when you're on dating apps, and you have to know what you're doing to an extent, and if you're very unfamiliar with dating apps, my friend Rob Judge, he's got a video called endofmen.com, and he kind of walks you through the landscape and what are the important things on dating apps. We're not going to get deep into that right now. What I want to get into is the idea that you've got to be on these dating apps, because when you're older, it's very easy to get, and I have friends that got divorced, and they come out of their divorce and they're like so scared that they're gonna die single, they're gonna die lonely, because they're looking around and they're like, man, there's only like, I see like a woman at Starbucks once a week, and then and they think, where am I gonna meet women? And when you have that mindset, not only do you tend to then make all the mistakes with the women you do meet because you're clinging to her because you're so scared that she's the only one you'll ever meet. But you also just don't meet a lot of quality women just in the real world, especially now with a lot of us working from home and stuff like that. Dating apps open up your world, right? And some guys will say, well, I went on dating apps and I didn't meet anybody. It's because you were doing it wrong. I can tell you 100% that when you know what you're doing on dating apps, when you put in a attractive profile, when you know how to communicate, you will have more dates than you can imagine. But the other important thing, besides the abundant mindset of like realizing, whoa, I have a lot of options here. I am, it helps with the first mindset of I am the prize when you see how many options you actually have. But there's another important element of being on these dating apps, and that is learning the communication style. Because if you're coming out of a relationship in your, let's say you're 50 years old, you've been married for 20 years, you've really missed the entire texting evolution of dating. And texting nowadays is, you may meet a woman in the real world, but 80% of your conversations are gonna be over text. It's not even gonna be talking on the phone. You're gonna be texting throughout the day. You're gonna be texting to set up dates. And if the only person you've been texting for 20 years is your wife, then you've got a lot of catching up to do. Dating apps gives you that experience, right? It throws you in the water and it forces you to learn, and it gets you seeing how they're messaging you, because you'll have a lot of women messaging you and you kind of pick up on it pretty quickly of, okay, oh, this is the lingo, this is how I communicate on these apps. I don't write paragraphs, right? A lot of older guys, they don't know, and they write these long messages, and it's unattractive to a woman because it kind of signals like, oh, he doesn't really get this. The more experience you have, the more that shows. So that's a main reason that you want to be on dating apps. Again, if you want to know about the communication styles and how to create your attractive profile, my friend Rob's video, I know it's sort of pessimistic, endofmen.com, and he talks about if you don't know this, right? If you don't know how to do all this stuff, you will be left behind, because so much of dating nowadays happens online and over text. But let's move into the next tip that I give older guys, and this is something that my friend Adam, who he is in his mid 50s, and this, as long as I've known him, he's had the most vibrant, amazing dating life. And I asked him one time, I said, what is your secret? And what he said to me was, be youthful, not young. Act youthful, not young. Act youthful. So let me explain what this means. And I think a mistake that some guys try to make is they think, man, I gotta like act young. And we've all seen the older guy who's trying too hard to appear young, right? He's got the backwards baseball cap on, and he dresses young, and he tries to use like the slang that younger people are using. And then, he goes out to like the clubs that all the young people are at, and it's not an attractive look for an older guy, right? Because he's trying to be young, and anytime you're visibly trying to do something, it comes across as try hard. So what Adam explained to me is that it's not about being young or looking young, it's about being youthful. So what does that mean? When you think of youthfulness, you think of certain qualities, right? Playfulness, being playful, fun, being up for anything, being the kind of guy who's like up for anything. You're not rigid with your routine, right? You're up for things. You're spontaneous. You have a playful nature to you. A guy that I was watching some of his, I think, TikTok videos, who's really good at this, and you know, he's only in his 40s, but it's Tom Brady. And if you compare Tom Brady to some other guys that are like celebrities in their 40s who really try to be young, Tom Brady's not, he doesn't try to be young, but he's very youthful. He's always, you know, playful. He's always joking around. He's got a very young energy to him without trying hard to be the young guy. You know, Tom Brady doesn't walk around dressing and acting like Justin Bieber. He acts like a 40-year-old man, a 44-year-old, 45-year-old man, but he's got a youthfulness to him. And that's what you want to emulate, is that youthfulness, because that's attractive, and that makes a woman go, okay, he's older, but he's youthful, as opposed to he's older, but he's acting young. Next tip that I want to talk about, and this one is really, really important, is project masculinity. Project masculinity. Earlier, when I was talking about being the prize and qualities that women find attractive in older men, I talked about, you know, maturity, experience, but masculinity is an important one. What do I mean by that? I mean, you're the leader, you're bold, you're powerful, you don't have intimidation, right? You're masculine. That's what women associate with masculinity, right? Lack of intimidation, being bold, taking risks, being a leader. And this is partly why when I mentioned that not making your move is a nice guy mistake that will hurt you, is because it shows that you're not a leader, right? You're afraid to go after what you want, which is not a masculine quality. So, you know, being conscious of saying, okay, I'm older, I have to embrace this. And it's not easy for all guys, right? Some guys are just like, I'm not that type of guy. But as you get older, it becomes more important to say, you know what, I'm going to be. And a lot of older guys tend to, as they mature, tend to kind of go into that role a little bit more. I've just noticed it with friends of mine and family members as they get older. They do tend to take on that sort of more dominant masculine role as they age. But you have to be conscious of, am I displaying it, right? So if you're asking a woman out on a date, be the leader. Say, hey, we're gonna go here. Not, where do you wanna go? What do you think is fun? What do you like? It's like, hey, I was thinking, let's go here. I'm gonna pick you up at 6 o'clock, right? That's leading. And when you're older, it's really important that you do that, right? It's really important to not seem scared around her. It's important for her to see you take charge in certain situations. So if you know, if shit is hitting the fan or something, and like you don't want to be like, oh, who's going to handle this? Like you want to be the one handling it, because that's an attractive older guy quality. So, you know, in addition to things that I've talked about, right? Taking on the role of the prize we talked about, where you have to have that internal belief that I am actually the prize in this situation. You have to avoid the nice guy mistakes, like confessing your feelings super quick, or buying her, you know, gifts or flowers, and not making your move because you think you're being a gentleman, and meanwhile she's going, what, you know, what's his deal? Why isn't he trying anything? I talked about that you need to get on dating apps, and not even just because it's a super efficient place to meet women, but also because it creates an abundance mindset in you, which allows you to be more attractive, and it also helps you hone your communication skills. It helps you get better at, you know, the setting up dates over text, and kind of learning how to do that, because if you've been out of the scene for a while, you might be rusty with it. Some guys met their wives so long ago that they never actually were in that realm of having to set up a date over text, and now you're kind of learning it. Well, dating apps gives you the experience of being able to get a lot of experience very, very quickly. Talked about being youthful and not young. And what I mean by that is embracing youthful qualities like being spontaneous, being playful, not taking yourself too seriously. These are all attractive qualities, along with what I believe is one of the most important qualities for an older guy to embrace is masculinity, right? Leading, always being the leader in a situation, taking charge, not showing intimidation. Now, if you are in your 40s or 50s, I highly recommend my friend Hank, who's been working with a lot of my clients. He's got a free class called How to Turn Your Age into the Ultimate Advantage with Women. And he walks you through, I mean, Hank's a guy that, one of the best that I've ever seen. He's in his late 50s and just an amazing life. And he distilled it very, like when he explained it to me, I was actually like taking everything he said and then teaching it to my clients, and he was cool with it. But then finally I go, Hank, why don't you just do a class on this? That way they can hear it from you instead of me kind of regurgitating advice that I'm hearing from you. So I got him to do a free class. I'll put a link below. It's called How to Turn Your Age into the Ultimate Advantage. And he talks about how to embrace this, right? How to use your age. Because I talked about it very early on. Your age is an advantage if you're an older man, if you know how to turn it into an advantage. And that's what Hank talks about in this class. So again, I'll link to that. It's completely free. It's about an hour long. But it goes deeper into a lot of the stuff that I touched on in this video. So leave me a comment below. Let me know what you want me to cover. If you like this video, hit like. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss future videos.